Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lounging with Lisa, the video series that has me lounging while coming at you with thoughts of the day. I thought of a subject yesterday as I was watching the Mike Rivera show and partaking in the chat. And there's one of the chatters that's absolutely obsessed with Jews, Zionism, all that stuff. And so a brief discussion unfolded about, somebody asked, what is Zionism? And I answered that it's basically a political philosophy that has the followers being called, of course, Zionists, and it has to do with demanding or wanting or needing a Jewish state, so to speak. So it's a political philosophy that really has, indicates, has, whatever you want to say, the area that used to be Palestine, which I still consider to be Palestine, as the Jewish state. So this philosophy has gone on for quite some time. At the late 1800s, its founder, its main gentleman, whatever you want to call it, was a guy by the name of Theodore Herzl. And he was a part of I wrote some stuff down, the World Zionist Congress, which actually was in play way before the State of Israel, and it was basically, the idea was that Jews were a nationality and needed some kind of homeland. And ladies and gentlemen, actually, Palestine wasn't the first choice, wasn't the first piece of property that was discussed. There was some thought given to Alaska becoming the Jewish state, or Uganda. So I found that to be interesting. So anyhow, like I said, I did take down a few notes just to make sure that I get things right. The important thing to realize here is that Zionism is a political philosophy. It is not associated, it has nothing to do with Judaism at all. And in fact, Theodore Herzl was an atheist. He was not a believer. I believe everybody who came up with this concept of Zionism and the Jews must have their own state, I believe they were all atheists. They were not practicing the religion of Judaism. So that should cause your eyebrows to raise off the head just a bit. And of course, then after World War II, there was more of a push. The world sort of was on board, I guess you would say, with going ahead and giving this land away to really white European Jews, because it had nothing to do with, they're connected to the land and they can trace their lineage back to the ancient Hebrews. That's all just a total myth. You can look up several people on that if you'd like. Ilan Pappé, Ilanpappe, I believe. And as you know, I can never get the accents right. Ilan Pappé, because I speak other languages and all. That's why I say Iran, and my brother gets mad. I should be Iran. Iran. Okay, that's all beside the point. So, yes, the important thing to realize is that, of course, through this Balfour Declaration, which was really just one white, rich European Jew saying, here you go, handing over the land to others of that same description, in 1917. So that's why that particular area was slated. Really just had to do with the property deal, because remember, Britain, the British Mandate, Britain controlled that area on the globe, all these different colonies that various empires had, and that happened to be under the thumb of Britain at the time. So anyhow, one thing led to another, and then we had the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people, herding them over to the Gaza region, drawing a red line and declaring that's the Gaza Strip. I mean, if you even just ask yourself, why does the Gaza Strip exist, then you realize it's a giant refugee camp. And why would there be refugees if, as the Jewish myth says, they voluntarily left their homes and just said, okay, we give up, here, take the land. Ladies and gentlemen, come on. I really honestly can't believe that people fell for that, and so did I over the years, because I never looked into it. And as soon as I started looking into it, I thought, oh my God, what a dum-dum I've been. But when you're taught this propaganda over and over, every day you hear about it, or it's always on the side of the Jews, just like this Russia thing. Every single day we're bombarded. Oh, it's just a fact of the matter. Russia interfered. Well, as you know, no, it isn't. So, I'm sorry, I'm getting, off track here. That merry-go-round pony's coming around once again. So, yeah, I thought I should get on here and explain a little bit about Zionism. Also, this gentleman on that chat yesterday, who's obsessed with all things Jew, I mentioned that there's a strong influence of Christian Zionism. One need not be Jewish to embrace Zionism. In fact, if I'm remembering correctly, at this state in this time in history right now, I believe there are probably more Christian Zionists than there are Jewish Zionists. Now, I could be wrong, but you have people like that Pastor Hagee and all these different evangelicals that work off that Schofield Reference Bible, where all the footnotes have to do with, Israel and like a literal state of Israel that God somehow wanted to be in play or what have you. So you have a large swath or whatever of the population of Christians that are Zionists, more so than Jews are even, some Jews. So at any rate, and then you have a branch of Judaism that absolutely does not accept the state of Israel. They are anti-Zionist, pro-Palestinian, extremely religious Jews. So it's a little more it's not super complicated, but I just thought it would be a good idea to come on here and kind of give a brief overview of Zionism. Once again, it's a political ideology or movement, not associated with Judaism. It does not have anything to do with actual Judaism. So, in fact, it's really opposite, because in Judaism you're not supposed to kill. I mean, you're supposed to keep the commandments and so on and so forth, and certainly ethnically cleansing an entire nation of people off the map is really doesn't play along with the actual laws in Judaism. Of course, you can twist anything to mean anything. I mean, after all, the gods, plural, in the Old Testament certainly were into genocide and hideous behavior and murdering everything right down to the cattle on the land. So you can really cherry pick and mold the scripture into whatever you'd like. But there are decent Jewish people that are against this for moral reasons and for religious reasons, because they say that God is the only one who can establish that particular region as a state. So I hope this helps people out. I hope it explains it. If not, you could look into Elon Pape and Miko Pellet, of course, and Max Blumenthal has been very good about this, as has Norman Finkelstein or Finkelstein, and a lot of Jewish Israeli archaeologists that have been desperately trying to find any kind of evidence to link the Jews back to the ancient Hebrews, and have come up empty-handed. So there you have it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to help you in my limited capacity. But yeah, as I said, I thought it was important to get that out there. Lounging with Lisa, the video series that has me lounging, while coming at you with thoughts of the day.